Hey YouTube, as the title of this video suggests, I'm going to be talking about my coming out experience and how that was for me. I usually keep this private because I try not to dwell on things that have had a negative experience or things that have caused me, a lot of trouble in my past. But I feel that this is a very important topic on top of the fact that it's National Coming Out Day, and I want my story to be uh, powerful or useful to someone who's experienced the same things as me or someone who may not have experienced the same things as me so that they can get a better idea of what it's like for us in the gay community and the things that we go through. 'Cause some of us have it lucky, some of us don't have it lucky with support and with friends. And I feel that with my story, it's time for me to just kind of let this part of me go and just move on and be happy. But I guess starting off with my story. So it began in high school. It was my sophomore year, I believe, and I was in choir. Um, it was an audition that we had going on for one of the all county or tri county, and I had a friend at the time, a really great friend of mine, and I remember he had offered to take me to the audition place. Now, my mom had met him one time before at a birthday party that he had, and my mom was not. She met him and she could kind of tell right away. He's very flamboyant, so anybody could tell that he was gay, but she didn't really say anything to me about it. And it wasn't until I had mentioned his name that it had came across her mind. She was like, "Oh, wait a minute, is that who I think it is?" Um, then that's when she told me, Solomon, your father will take you to the audition. And I was saying, well, I had always been a child that I never wanted my parents to go out of their way, to do stuff for me, because I'd always been independent, and was just the type of guy that would be like, I'll do it myself. So when, she was like, I'll take you to the audition, or your father will take you to the audition, I was like, well, you don't have to do that. I already have a ride. So I had kind of knew like where she was trying to get at, or like why she didn't want me to go, but I was trying to, avoid that. Like she can't be, stopping me because of that, right? Um, so moving forward, she calls me and she tells me, she's like, Solomon, I don't know if I really feel comfortable, with you going to the audition with so and so. And I'm like why? Like, what's the problem? And then my dad calls me into the room. He's just like, yeah, Solomon, I'm gonna take you to the audition. You don't have to worry about getting a ride. And so I'm sitting here clueless, like, well, what's the problem? Like, I already have a ride I already have a ride secure. You guys don't have to go out your way. I'm like I said, I'm the type of person that I don't want my parents to go out the way, to do stuff because I'll just do it myself. And then it finally came out where my dad was kind of like, well, your mom thinks that so and so might be gay. And at that point, it was just like, what? You don't want me to get a ride from somebody because you think they're gay? I mean, what does their sexuality, have to do with their ability to drive? I didn't get that. So I was kind of staring at my dad funny, just like I just heard, and I just heard the most ridiculous thing ever. I can't get a ride for somebody because they're gay. What? So I was like, okay, well, why is that an issue? He didn't really answer. He was just like, I'll just take you. So I was like, okay, whatever. I told that person so that, hey, I don't need a ride anymore. My dad's gonna take me. So we get in the car, and it's kind of quiet for a little bit. There's a little bit of tension in the air, obviously, of course, because whenever it had been a topic that we talked about, just anything that had to do with being gay or just femininity or anything that involved, me being involved in that topic at all, it was just always tension in the air. Um, so we get in the car. My father, is just kind of silent. He kind of turns the radio down. He's just like, so what's up with so and so? Your mom's saying that he's being gay and all. And I was like, well, he's a friend of mine, and he offered to give me a ride, and I would have had a ride, but it seems that you guys don't want me driving with him because of his sexuality, which I don't get. And so then that's when he started questioning me, and he was like, so what about this person or that person or that person, are all your friends gay? I've been noticing a lot lately that you've been having, some different friends. And, at this point, I'm kind of getting really, irritated because of all my three things, my three rules that I have, you don't talk about Beyonce. Number one, I don't take crap about anyone talking about Beyonce. Number two, I don't take crap about anyone talking about gay people, or the LGBT community. And for three, I don't take crap for people talking about my friends, especially my close friends. So, I was like, what? Like, where is this coming out of? Like, what's the whole thing with this conversation going on? And he's just like, because your friends, it seems lately that you've been having some gay friends. I mean, is this person gay? Is that person gay? So at this point, I'm getting really frustrated because I'm beginning to wonder, like, okay, like, I'm thinking he's trying to accuse me of being gay, which I was, but I hadn't said anything yet. And I was just getting really furious. I was like, okay, well, yeah, what if, they're gay? I mean, what's the point? What does that mean? Like, if somebody, that I know is a friend of mine and they're gay, does that mean, is that a bad thing? Like, what's the issue? And I just remember, he was just like, that doesn't concern you. And I was like, doesn't concern me. So I really was looking at my father like he was crazy. So I was like, so if I have a friend that's been bullied because they're gay, that I don't have to step in? So that doesn't concern me. And then at this point, he's being silent. And I'm like, are you serious? Really? I was just really, my mind was just blown. I just couldn't believe it. Like, he was really sitting and telling me, like, it wasn't important that I should step in on the account of somebody being gay. Like, if I had a friend that was gay, I shouldn't, try to step up for them. I mean, that just didn't make sense to me. Just because somebody is who, whatever they are, doesn't mean that they're not human. Doesn't mean that they don't, deserve for somebody to stick beside them, whatever the case. So we're driving, and, we're talking about it for a little bit, and he's just like, so you think it's okay that, for people to be gay? Now, for so long, I had always just wanted to be like, yes, because I'm gay. But of course, obviously, I couldn't at the time. At the time, I was 15, I think. So I had wanted to make it a big thing for my 16th birthday, which I'm glad I didn't, actually, by the way, now that I'm speaking about it. But I had wanted it to be like this whole big birthday shenanigan for my 16th birthday, where I would, like the whole Sweet 16 thing, I would just come out and I would just talk about, even though I'm turning 16 now, this is an important day in my life where, I am turning a new age. I'm a new person. Birthdays are just a big celebration for me because each year, you're a new person each year, essentially. You're growing, you're learning, and I'm a big person on progress and growth. And so for me, each year that I turn a new age, it's like a new chapter in my life. So I was like, okay, well, this is the year, I'm in high school now, I accepted who I am, and I'm ready to come out. But that did not go how I wanted it to go. So we're in the car, and he's talking to me, and uh, he's like, yeah, so you think it's okay to be gay, and, you don't think there's anything wrong with that? And of course, I'm like, well, no, there's nothing wrong with being gay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being who you are. I mean, that's a ridiculous question. And so then he actually pulls the car over, and he gets on his phone and pulls the Bible out. And then he gets, all into this, read the scripture and whatever the case. And of course, the scripture saying man should not lie with another man, as women should not lie with another woman, et cetera, et cetera. And I was just like, okay, I read it, and, what's your point? And then he starts accusing me, you don't believe in the Bible, are you think that it's wrong, you're trying to go against the Bible? And I'm like, okay, hold on, like, now you're putting words in my mouth because I had never said anything about the Bible. You pulled the Bible out on me and started making me read stuff. I just simply said I believe people have the right to be entitled to however they feel, to be whoever they are. And, I mean, I never said that I was against the Bible. That never crossed my mind. I'm just saying with this, man should not lie with a man. I just think people should be, who they are. Me still trying to hide my identity, while trying to support gay people. So he's, so he's looking at me like, and I'm looking at him like I said the most absurd thing out of my mouth. So then at that point we just, we're going back and forth, we're arguing, and he's just kind of looking at me like, I just cannot believe this. So for a while, we're riding in silence to the audition place. And then, we're not speaking. I'm looking out the window. and he's, you know, just concentrating on driving. The only thing that's playing right now is the little sports radio. And while we were driving, I just remember just like looking at the red lights, like every time we would stop. And I just remember thinking, you know what, at this point, you know, I think he's on to me. Um, I, I, I'm gonna just do it. You know, at this point, I was just like, I feel attacked. Like when I'm on the defense. You know, they coming at my neck. You know, talk about some. You know, do I support gay people? You know, why do I have gay friends and X, Y, and Z? And I'm just like, oh my gosh, you know what? They gonna find out. And every gay person knows, or closeted gay person knows. You know, the denial process when everybody's like, oh, this person gay. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Um, so at this point, I'm like, look at each light that we stop at. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna tell him. I'm gonna tell him. Then we get to the next red light. Literally, I had an apple like in my throat. I could not say it. I just couldn't do it. I just felt so much shame and disappointment that I knew would follow once I had uttered the words that came out of my mouth. And so I just remember getting to the audition place. I just remember the whole ride was just like, all right, do it. You're gonna do it. Never did it. So we arrived at the audition place, and I just remember him saying, you know, I'm gonna tell your mother about the conversation that we had in the car. And I would just like tell her that I said that I think it's okay to be gay. I wish I could make this up. I wish I could. And just for a disclaimer fact, I'm not over here bashing my parents or saying, you know, anything like, you know, my parents never loved me. Of course, it's a process that we're going through, and I'm not gonna, you know, talk too much about it, just for my privacy. But it's a process, and of course, there's always still love, and I love them, and they love me, of course. It was just, it's something that we're trying to work on, and just them, you know, being accepting of it, and me trying to heal from, you know, just not being able to be who I was, you know, for the past 18 years. You know, now I'm in college, and I'm having the ability to be who I want to be. And now it's taking all that time for me to feel happy, to be expressive, and I'm slowly but, you know, surely regaining myself and putting myself together. But like I said, this is not like you know, my parents never loved me, you know, it's just been some hurt along the way. So we get to the audition place, you know, he's like, I'm gonna tell your mother this and that. So I was like, okay, fine, whatever. Just tell her like I'm the victim. I'm sorry, like I'm the bad guy, excuse me. So I get inside the place, and I just remember sitting, I just remember my stomach was just churning, because knowing my mom is the type of person that's just like, you know, like to call about it, and she'd just be like, yeah, so I heard, you know, such and such, and I was just expecting a call from her at any moment. So I remember sitting down, I was just like super antsy, you know, my friend was just like, you okay, Solomon? I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm trying to concentrate because I had this audition coming up for the choir piece, and, you know, trying to get myself together, and, you know, and like I said earlier, I'm a very positive person, very happy, and I never try to put my problems in front of myself. I always try to put it behind me, and try to focus on putting others first, and just being a person of positivity and happiness. But sometimes, you know, for people who are like that, and especially for those who have so much love and for so much energy to give, sometimes we need to just take a moment for ourselves to recuperate and to get our lives together. And so when I was, you know, trying to just kind of paint a smile on my face, I was just like dying on the inside. I'm like, oh my gosh, I know she's gonna call me, and I know she's gonna like flip out. So she calls me. Lo and behold, she calls me, and I look at the phone, and it says mom, and I was like, okay. So pick up the phone, and I was like, here we go, oh boy. So she's like, hey Solomon. I'm like, hey mom. She's like, so you know, how's the audition going? You know, she's trying to play coy, and trying to just fill in some space, and I'm just like, it's going fine. I'm like, can you just get to the point, because I know you want to ask me the question. And you know, she's just asking me, she's like, okay, you know, that's good, that's nice. So your father tells me about the conversation that we're having, oh boy, that you guys were having, and I was just curious. So, Solomon, are you gay? And at this point, I thought long and hard. It was a good maybe 30 seconds before I had responded. And of course, and during that pause, it was like she knew, I knew, I wasn't ready yet. It was just like I had planned, like I said, mind you, I had planned to do this on my 16th birthday, where I was just going to go and just reveal to everybody, my family, friends. But this was just coming at me fast. I was like, wow, you know what? And I thought about it for a minute. I was like, you know what, Solomon? Just, you gotta rip the Band-Aid off. At some point in your life, you get to a point where you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to be honest with who you are, and you have to be honest about your experience and the things that are going to happen to you into your future. And for me, I didn't want to have this thing a part of me where I kept it lingering on forever and living this lie and holding on to this one thing that I knew that my family didn't know, or at least didn't acknowledge. So I was like, well, you know what? Yeah. I said, yeah, Mama, I'm gay. And I just, oh my gosh, I just remember she she was just so upset. She was just so upset. I just remember her pulling the car over, and I couldn't hear her pull the car over, of course, but I heard the car, the honk of the door. So I'm assuming she was probably like slamming on the honk, whatever you call it, on the steering wheel. Yeah, on the steering wheel. I heard the little like bum bum bum. She was screaming like, Jesus, like, oh my gosh, oh my goodness. She was just really upset and disappointed. And I just knew that she would be. This isn't what she wanted. This isn't, of course, what she had, I guess, envisioned, for her son. And it's nothing worse than feeling there's nothing worse than feeling ashamed because you want to do everything for your parents and for your family, and you want to be able to be the son and to be the child that you can always be for them. But sometimes, and I think what parents have to realize, you don't always, when you plant a tree or, an apple tree, you can't plant an apple tree and then expect to get oranges from it, and I think that's something with every parent you have to realize. And I just knew that all their hopes, with me, I guess, finding a wife and having grandkids, and it was just shattered. And I felt that, when she was screaming and crying, and she said, I can't believe this. She told me she couldn't believe I lied to her. And I was like, well, what do you mean I lied to you? How did I lie to you? How could I lie? How could I lie about, something that I struggled with? How could I? It's almost like you just can't believe, what's happening for you, especially from your parents, when the moment you are discovering yourself, and the moment you come to terms with who you are and with your sexuality, the most important thing that you need and that you have to have is support. And in that moment, I initially just felt crumbled, and so I just felt terrible. So I'm crying. Of course, I had to run out the auditorium and get myself together, and she's crying. There's nothing worse than hearing your mom cry. Oh my gosh. And she's just like, I just can't believe it. And then what's funny was actually she was, you want to wear dresses? Like, you want to wear makeup? And high heels, is that what you're telling me? My my family, let alone my parents, know nothing about the gay culture or gay community. So for me, I was like, huh? I was crying from, I was like, what? I almost had to stop because I was like, what do you mean? Like I want to wear dresses or something. So after the incident, we both calmed down and we're breathing, and I just remember I just remember telling my mom I was so sorry because I knew that I just couldn't be the son that they wanted, and I had always wanted to be the son that they wanted. I always wanted to be the football player that they wanted me to be. And I always wanted to be the one, bring a girlfriend over the house. I always wanted to be the one to talk to my dad, about, I guess, the birds and the bees. You know, uh, Go out, and, I don't know, toss a football, but it just never happened because I was just never interested. That just wasn't me. I didn't like sports. I'm gay. Um, for them, it was just like two worlds collide, and so we didn't know really how to handle it. So sorry, I'm kind of getting off topic, but uh, basically after that, she after the we were crying and everything, she told me, she was like, well, Solomon, first and foremost, I I do want to let you know that I am your mother, and I do love you. I do love you. Sorry. She told me she loved me, of course. And she told me that that would never change anything. Um, I feel that, and that's why I say when earlier, this is not anything like to say that, oh, my parents, they disowned me, or you know, they kicked me out of the house, or said they never loved me. It was just, this is just not what they wanted, and it was just hard for them to accept, and it was hard for me to accept, and we're growing from it, and we're learning. But it was just a very painful and hurtful past and experience, and she wanted to make it clear to me that Solomon, as your mother, my duty is to protect you and to give you everything that I can. And as your mother and as my son, um, I'm always here for you. But this, just with you being gay, this is just not something that uh, I can accept. And that did sting, and it did hurt because I just thought about, for future references, like, well, what about for Thanksgivings and Christmases, when I get a boyfriend and I want to bring him over? Or what about with my siblings? Oh my gosh, I'm the oldest of my siblings, and I have to explain to them that I'm gay. And then, my parents don't want them to know, let alone my family to know. How do I, and then how do I accommodate for my privacy and my happiness and my humility without, trying to shelter myself, but also being, cautious at the same time of other people of my family, or for people who, are against me, who don't support. It's just a really hurtful time and experience. Um, so, after she told me that, I we calmed down, and I just remember thinking, well, mommy, I appreciate, you telling me that, even though you don't accept it. Mommy, which is, a horrible thing to say, like you don't accept your child being gay. I mean, but it's important at the end of the day to always love your child, even if you don't agree, or even if you're not on the same terms. And so I had missed my audition, and I had to explain, of course, to the conductor why I was late. Sorry, I mean, because you only imagine the scenario, like, I'm so sorry. I just came out to my mom, and yeah. So, oh man. No, then in the household, things were a little different after the audition. I came back home. Of course, after the phone conversation, of course, obviously my mom told my dad, and we didn't talk for a while in the car ride. He didn't ask anything. He didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. Um, it's just really hard just being in that situation. In the house, my dad didn't really speak to me for a while. I didn't really speak to him. And my mom, she was trying her best to just proceed as normal, but everything, once the cat was out of the bag, it was just, how could you know? You don't see me the same anymore. And I just remember, she came in my room one time, and this was well after, it was about maybe 3 or 4 days, and, I had finished crying and thinking about everything, because for me, it was like once I had said it and got out the way and cried all my tears, I had everything that was built up to that point, I let go. And she came in my room, and she was talking to me, and she was like, Solomon, I didn't see this coming at all. And, of course we talked about it, and, it was more of a calm conversation than I can't believe, you're gay and you lied to me. And, it was just coming back to it, to talk about it. And I just remember, we were just sitting talking, and she was just telling me the things that a mother should, of course, tell your child, that, she loves me, she's always been protecting me, of course. And, she said, and whether you do believe it or not, I am in your ring, and for her, it was more so, she was just afraid for me to enter the world, and where, even though she didn't accept it or, didn't like it, she was just afraid for me to enter the world, in a world where people, bully and kill and harass people for just being who they are for me. I mean, it was let alone, I'm already black, I'm already minority, but then at that, I'm gay too. So it's like she just couldn't imagine having to have a day come where she would have to come and identify the body, of her firstborn. I mean, no parent should go through that. And I just remember, she made chili for me one night. I'm just rambling on at this point, but she made chili for me one night, and she just broke down and cried because chili's my favorite food, actually. So she did that, because like I said, she was just trying to proceed as normal and do everything she could to not make me feel, outward. But it's hard sometimes. I think, in all, with this, when I told my grandparents and my grandfather, of course, he didn't really, didn't take too nicely of it. It's everything is love at the end of the day. Like I said, I'm not here to talk bad about my family, because they haven't been, they haven't done anything to dehumanize me, but it's just that they just really, it's not something that they agree with. And I just remember with my grandma too, I just remember I love my grandma so much. And she's always been, my biggest supporter. She would come to my performances, when my parents didn't, when I would sing in choir, and she would come to my when I would perform in the plays and the talent shows and dancing. My grandma would always come and see me, because she knew it meant so much to me. I may not have played sports, I may not have always liked wrestling, or I may not have always, wanted to play with the guys, but, she knew that, that I was just me, and she always saw that in me, and she told me, she said, baby, this is not something that I agree with either, but she said, you know what, you have always been hiding and ashamed and hurt all your life, and I've seen you just so broken, and and I just couldn't take it. So when I saw you at those plays and, you know, performances, you know, I saw all of you. I saw you just happy, and as your grandma, that's all I ever want for you, because you deserve to be happy. You deserve to be happy. And I want you to just be who you are. And I just want you to just do everything that you can in life. Because every person deserves to feel happy and loved and expressive. And that, to me, was just the most beautiful thing that anyone has ever said to me. That's why I love my grandma so much. But she's just always been my biggest supporter. But on that note, that kind of just sums up my story. I just want to say, you know, to everyone, and for people who may be closeted watching this video, or to those who may be out watching this video, or, you know, for those who can relate and identify to my story, you are absolutely beautiful and perfect as who you are, and no one should ever have the ability to steal your happiness away from you. And I do mean that sincerely. You know, it's a point in our lives where we have to feel happy, and we have to feel safe, and we have to feel loved, and we just have to be ourselves. And I think that what people need to understand is that even though you may not agree or you may not like it, everybody, at the end of the day, you know, no matter your religion, ethnicity, race, sexual orientation, whoever, everyone deserves the right and the ability to be happy and to just feel expressive. And that's what my grandma has instilled in me, to just be who you are. And that's why I push so hard every day to just be happy and to be positive and to try to help others, uplift others, you know, give back in the community, the homeless, you know, I give hugs to all my friends every day. Whenever I see them, you know, give me a hug, you know, give me some love. I just want some love, you know. We all need some love. We all need a little bit of happiness in the world. And I do believe that if we all plant seeds in each other, you know, whether it's, you know, oh, your hair looks nice, or, you know, oh, that outfit's cute, or, you know, like, you know, hey, how are you? I believe in those type of little small acts will go a long way. They're kind of like planting the seeds. So thank you for watching, and thank you for listening to my story. I hope that my story has done anything, whether it's, you know, been inspiring or has touched you, or has been any use to you in any way. So then thank you for allowing me to share my experience. So to all my gay people, whether you're closeted, out, or, you know, still discovering, you are beautiful, you are wonderful. You know, your clock does not run on anybody else's clock, and everything will fall into place. Everything is about progress. It's not about perfection. It's not about right now, or it's not about, you know, how can you get things to be. It's all about progress. Little by little, you're gonna get there, and it'll work out. You just have to keep pushing. So yeah, thank you, and bye.